On May 16th, 2007, my first child was born, and I was more afraid than I have ever been before or since. At only 28 weeks pregnant, I was flown on a hospital plane from Rexburg, Idaho, to the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, where the doctors immediately decided that they needed to remove my baby via C-section, and they needed to do it now. At 2 pounds, 1 ounce, and 3 whole months premature, my daughter was born, and my husband and I were thrown into a world that we had never before dreamed of, the world of the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, or NICU. A world filled with things like incubators and oxygen machines, and around-the-clock specialized nurses, and more uncertainty than 2 young 20-somethings had ever imagined. Not only were we worried sick about our little girl's survival, but we had no idea how we would make it in a foreign city with no resources. Many families find themselves in these situations all across the country. Where do they stay while their child is receiving care? The Ronald McDonald House Charities, as made famous by the big red-headed clown and delicious chicken nuggets, creates a place for families to stay while their children are in intensive care, all free of charge. Out of all of the roughly 5,000 U.S. hospitals, only about 1 in 30 has deep expertise in caring for children, according to U.S. News. This means that many families just like mine are away from home during long periods of uncertainty with nowhere to live and no idea how long they will be homeless, as the timeline for children in hospital stay is rarely certain. We are going to look closely at the problem that families with children in need face, as well as the amazing charity that helps so many people in this predicament, and what you can do to help. Just like my family's crisis, with my daughter facing months of intensive care and her parents with nowhere to turn, many families in America find themselves in this same situation. So what do people do when they have a child who needs specialized long-term care? Access to specialized children's centers is very limited, and many families do not have the means for long-term accommodations that are needed for them to be there with their sick child. On the East Coast, children's hospitals are fairly spread out, but on the West Coast the picture is even more bleak. There are hundreds of miles between most children's hospitals, according to U.S. News. There are many more people who live at a distance from one of these care centers than live close enough to stay at home while their child is receiving care. Ask.com quotes the average hotel stay in the U.S. at $90 to $150 per night, and even more in places like New York or California. The Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality says that the length of a stay for a child in need of specialized care can range from 1 week to several months. For example, it was estimated at first that my daughter would need to be in the NICU for at least 3 months of care. She was an exceptional case that wound up staying for a shorter amount of time than estimated, being hospitalized for only 2 months. However, many children require longer stays than at first anticipated, not shorter. These variable timeframes mean that renting an apartment is absolutely out of the question. Between the cost and the question of lease length, this option is absolutely a no-go. So what do you do when your child needs care in Salt Lake City and you live in Idaho? That's where the Ronald McDonald House Charity steps in. This charity is sponsored by the McDonald's Corporation and kept going through other corporate donors and grassroots network of donors and volunteers. It creates places for families to stay while their children are in intensive care, all free of charge. The charity has been around for 36 years. It serves 73% of the best children's hospital in the world, according to their website. And it has a relationship within the medical community, which means that they help you as a parent of a sick child bridge the gap between your family and the care provider. There are many reasons some people might be reluctant to support the Ronald McDonald House Charity. Some people might say, well, why don't you just stay with family? If you have family close by when your child needs care, that is wonderful, but sadly most people don't. Some might say, well, I would just drive there on the weekends to visit my child. If you don't think that your child needs you close by to deal with the daily fear and stress that long-term care creates, well, I think you would probably feel differently if the situation was yours. Or you might even be cynical and say, I don't trust McDonald's enough to donate money to their charity. They're poisoning us with beef and sugar. Well, let me put your mind at ease. McDonald's does not own the charity. It is a separate nonprofit entity. McDonald's is the largest donor, and they also donate all of the official administration, which means that the charity doesn't spend any money on overhead. In other words, every dollar donated goes straight into the charitable work. The Ronald McDonald Houses themselves consist of several aspects. Let me walk you through the features of a Ronald McDonald House home. In each Ronald McDonald House, there is a lobby with a front desk. There are employees there to help with any questions or concerns you may have. They also help with the special donated features local to each Ronald McDonald House, like donated gym memberships that people staying there can use for free, or coupons for entertainment nearby. There is an activity room with game tables and board games. There is a fully functioning kitchen stocked with food, mostly donated from volunteers. There are also designated areas for each family to keep their own food. And all cooking utensils you could possibly need to cook for your own family are provided there. The outside has gardens and play areas, all of which are maintained by volunteers. There is a comfortable living room where couches, books, and a large television are located. Now, these things are located in a common area because Ronald McDonald House Charities acknowledge how important it is for families with sick children to bond with each other and communicate in that very hard and confusing time. Finally, there are the many rooms where families stay, which have beds and bathrooms and basic hotel room fare. As your interest in the work of the Ronald McDonald House Charities grows, I want you to be aware of ways in which you can help. First of all, you can donate money to help families in need. Every single dollar counts. You can easily make anonymous donations of as little as $10 through the website rmhc.org. Or you can sponsor a penny war change drive at a local school to collect change to donate. If you find yourself living in an area where a Ronald McDonald House is located, or even if you are visiting one such area, there are lots of ways to volunteer your time. You can prepare and serve a home-cooked meal, bake or cook anything you like and bring it into the Ronald McDonald House, or sign up to feed the house on a certain night. Just please don't bring lasagna or spaghetti. We were there for 2 months, and just about every night I was staying there, somebody brought spaghetti, which is so thoughtful, but so tiresome. Plant flowers at the Ronald McDonald House or help clean up the garden, organize a craft project for children, or host a free car wash for the families staying in the house. The Ronald McDonald House Charities have provided a home away from home for thousands of families, and their vast and necessary services are only possible because of volunteer and donor contributions each year. In conclusion, there is a large problem facing families of children with special medical needs. These families need long-term accommodations while their children are in the sparsely located children's hospitals nationwide. The Ronald McDonald House Charities provide a solution to this problem by giving great accommodations to families in need for free. We can all get involved in the work of this charity. There are so many ways to help out with this great organization. Just go out and find the right way for you to get involved. You'll be grateful if you ever find yourself in that situation. I know I was.